All right, we are now live. It's Mike Pyatt with Bryan Fleming, and we're going to share some insights and updates, what's going on in our businesses. I've been focusing on my business the past few calls with me creating a YouTube ad and stuff. So I want to focus it more on your business today, Bryan, and just get an update what's going on in both internally. I know you said you have some mindset stuff and also externally. So love to hear.
Yeah. So I think we talked last week. We're making this recording in July. That's right. Actually, July 5th, the day after the 4th of July. And last week I talked. I thought June would be a big month for us because we track everything week to week, and the weeks were just really stacking up good. There weren't any big disasters on the horizon, so it was a pretty good month. And I was right, Mike. We had record blog traffic. Almost had 13,000 visitors to the blog. And I'll tell you, if you can get a blog to pick up like that, the business, it just gets easier. Every day now I'm getting about 50 signups to the email list, making a couple sales. We had record sales last month, 73 new customers, record. Usually nice. About 50. So my wife, Sherry, she thought it'd be a big month too. And we just missed the 5-figure mark by a few $100s to put it in perspective. So let's just call it $10,000 in my pocket after expenses.
Nice.
That's even huge.
That's
and
awesome.
To put it in perspective, I was working much harder at the business last year than I am this year. I can say that. Last year, I profited 3,500. So in 1 year to go from 3,500 to 10 grand, man, that's like a high five. I know people get on here and say they went from 3,500 to 100 grand, but shit, man, you guys think about having your job and throw an extra 10 grand in your pocket every month. It makes a massive difference in your lifestyle, just massive. So Mike, I'd like to thank you because I know a lot of our calls and buying the links and all that, it's just kind of all starting to work now. So the business, it's in a good spot. And yeah, some of the things I thought talking about is if you do set a goal for your business, and I want to use $10,000 a month, because I've heard on podcasts that for whatever reason, with the internet community, that's just a super popular goal. I don't know if it's the number 10,000 seems like a big number. It's a nice round number, but I had that on my goal list for years. And throughout my internet career, I hit it for like a couple years every single month and exceeded it. And then things just fucking fell apart. And it was really, really, really hard to claw my way back. Finally clawed my way back. So when that happens, I think you should take time and recognize your accomplishment, because it is a hell of one, whatever the goal is. If it's 500 a month or 1,000 a month, whatever that goal is, take time and just recognize it before we always want to jump onto the next goal and double it up. Well, if I made 10 grand a month, I want to make 20. If I make 20, I want to make 40.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of that stuff happening. I really want to avoid that trap. And this week I was pretty fortunate. My day job, they shut their assembly plant down for the week, so they have everybody take vacation time. So it's 4th of July week. I'm pulling the throttle back big time on my business right now. Today, I spent 15 minutes in the morning answering support tickets, making sure everyone who's using my software is happy with it, that I can tell them they are, for the most part. And so that was my day, 15 minutes of work. After this call, I'm just going to keep enjoying my day. Another thing is getting rid of that client last month and ending that relationship. It was definitely the right thing to do because this PC Tattletale's picking up. Mike, I can't even tell you how much more headspace I have, and I can't even describe it. It's just freed up space in my head to think about PC Tattletale more. It's really astounding to me how much that was taken up. And I know with so many clients like you have, that just has to be like, I don't want to say chaos all the time, but just occupying a lot of your available mental cycles.
Yes. Yeah. Especially before I had a system and other people, like Sarah doing it all now, but now she, occupies it all. And, she gets stressed out about, because clients, I mean, some are happy, but some are never happy. Regardless, we can say, hey, your rankings went up, traffic went up, sales went up, but they'll still have something.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah. And also a lot of the conversation, what it brings to mind too, is like timing too. Cause like when you first start a business and like, even when you took on that client, like that cash flow is huge and you can learn from them, et cetera. But then, yeah, once you get something more stable, you can then, cut off that thing to, yeah, turn off that cash flow from that source, but also then free up your time, to work on, in your case, PC Tattletale.
Right. Right.
Ooh.
So another thing that happens, you set a goal and you reach the goal as you start thinking, well, I'm up here now. I don't want to lose what I have. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Get defensive. You want to build a motor and make what you have more solid, so it doesn't just get washed away.
Mm-hmm.
When you reach goals, that kind of thing starts playing into it too.
Yeah. And yeah, having like a system in place so then you can keep it. I know yours is pretty systematic with the nature of the business, the software. It's at least like the lead source, it's not like service, like you could be like getting places from like Craigslist or Upwork. You always have to be getting it and keeping, clients. And you still have to do that obviously with some degree with your business, but you can have a little more structure.
A lot of it's handled through software and as there's processes where you got a process where you hand someone a sheet and say, do this every day. And then there's software processes where code does that stuff for you. And I've tried really hard to write as much code and have as little humans doing stuff as possible. And I think that it's harder to, I don't know if it's harder to do, it's just different, but it does pay its dividends.
Right. And another thing too that came to mind was when you said like you're working a lot harder last year than you are this year and you're making more, but it's like almost like that work is delayed too. Like you can spend all this time making the product, figuring out how to sell it effectively, what works, what doesn't, and all the skill set to build up to use it all. And then, then it eventually, is in place working. So it's like kind of the conversation, one of the calls like passive, like, is it passive? I mean, from one perspective, yes, it's making money when you're gone, not a lot of work, but all those years you spent putting the conditions and, the work in place.
Yeah, I would say it's, I would not call it passive. I'd call it highly leveraged. Like the Wizard of Oz, he built the perfect machine, right? And he's turning all the levers, and I totally feel like that guy, Mm-hmm. I've built a machine that's working for the moment, and I'm smart enough to have been around this game long enough to enjoy the moment while things are working, because that can change super fast.
Yes, so true. Because as soon as you hit one goal, I think that's just the nature of the human mind.
Well, that's the other thing too. Is by the time you get to the point where you're achieving these goals you set for yourself, you'll have been punched in the face by life so many times that you're just expecting the next right hook to come.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be like self-fulfilling prophecy, but I totally know some shit's going to hit the fan at any minute. I'm going to have a new issue to deal with. And just if things are fine, just chill for now, man. Just enjoy it.
Yep. Yeah, that's life.
Yeah. Yeah. Our Amazon bill's starting to accelerate, and it's there's two pieces of it, Mike, that cause the price to go up. One price is just the raw cost to store all those tens of millions of screenshots from people's devices they're spying on, right? There's another piece of just the computing power to process those screenshots. And when I looked at our Amazon bill, I wrote a script to clean up, hundreds of gigabytes of just dead accounts of just screenshot storage, tons of these things. And what I'm finding, it's the computing resources that are causing our bill to go out of control now. So we're approaching processing 2 million screenshots a day, which I think is crazy that I can be doing that. And it's all because Amazon's cloud services. If I had to do this on my own servers, I feel like they'd be failing fairly regularly. You'd always be looking over your shoulder, waiting for something to go down and break, and customers getting mad. But the Amazon stuff is scaled beautifully. Our bill for it will probably be maybe $500 this month. But when you look at our revenue, you're probably like 5% of revenue. So it's not a huge cost, but it's one of these things where man, it's fucking hard to control at that scale. Like, how do you even slow that down? It's just this thing's going to grow out of control, and you got to pay it, you know. So that's one thing on my mind. Been fighting issues with Apple. You know, Mike, when you want to do something like scrape Google results from their search engine and measure your search position, what'll happen is Google will sense this IP address blitzing their searches, and they'll start like stopping it. They'll throw up captchas and stop you from doing that. And so what you have to do is get a new IP address. And we're going through that problem with Apple right now with trying to get people's iCloud stuff. So as it turns out, an interesting hack is you can start servers up in the Amazon cloud. You just like say start a server and it just does it, right? And it just starts you a new Linux server or Windows 1 or whatever. And when you start it up, it gives you an IP address, just some random friggin' IP address. And when you stop the server, it stops it. And when you restart it, you get a brand new IP address out of Amazon's huge ass IP cloud, right? Well, I figured that by stopping the server every day and restarting it, you get a new IP address and it works again with Apple. So that's kind of been a fix. It sucks doing that every morning, and I'm going to write a script to do that. But it's just super interesting that Amazon's that powerful that you can just create servers through code, start them up, assign them their own unique IP address. I mentioned it to you last week, and I think for the link building part of your business, if it gets to a point where it's too hard to juggle all those hosting companies, I know you have dozens or hundreds of them. The Amazon cloud might be a like real nice simplified way to do that.
Yeah, definitely put a portion of them using that process for sure.
Yeah, because they got like different regions too, and you could literally have a WordPress instant and just say start new instance, boom, new IP address, you're good to go. New instance, new IP, like just boom, boom, boom. These things are cheap, man. They charge you like, I think my server is under $1 a month to run it for a server.
Wow.
Crazy cheap, crazy cheap.
Wow.
But you get no support, right? It's like if it goes down, it fucking goes down. Terminate it and spin up a new one, you know? You said something before our call. We were talking about. I always talk about, guys. So it's 4th of July week. My day job is giving everybody the week off. So I want to pull the throttle back on my business. And I was talking to Mike before the call about how hard that is to do when you're used to this feeling of a bear chasing you your whole life. You know, I need my business to make X so I can make my house payment kind of thing and my kids can eat. And you're used to that mindset. Then your business, you know, you're working on it, and then it gets to a point where the bear's not chasing you anymore, but you still feel like the bear's chasing you. And it can be really hard to pull the throttle back and say, yes, the business is in a good spot. It's not going to fall apart tomorrow. You just take a breath. Mike, you had a really good suggestion for how to spend that time, and we could talk about how you do that when it's time to just pull the throttle back for a few.
Right. Yeah. So I was saying, yeah, I definitely rejuvenate. Yeah, I'd take weekends off personally, rejuvenate. And then, yeah, this past 4th of July holiday, I took 4 days, but by the 3rd day, I was like, I'm ready to go, go back to work. Cause like relaxing's good, but it's like even like I was playing golf and I'm like, I'm focusing so hard to hit this ball straight and into this, hole in the shortest amount of times. It's like I could be focusing that on my business, and I think it's through
for it. Yeah.
And it's through different stages. Like right now, obviously I'm a bit younger than you, but like I feel like I'm still building all those pieces and still like make it or bust, one thing could go wrong and then, it all collapses and we just have to get like, a traditional job or whatever. Yep. So I definitely still feel that pressure. YouTube thing kind of feels like a new business, a new offer, like structuring that and stuff. But yeah, you got to take time off. But then on the other time, I'm putting everything I can into it. And then, yeah, using time off as like total like rejuvenation.
I love that word because rejuvenation's just it. You're like taking a break to make yourself better when you come back. And I can really relate to what you just said about by the 3rd day. Oh man. Yeah, it's hard. And I think I think it goes back to fulfillment, that when you're hanging out at the golf course and kind of, well, I went through it even when I took the family a couple months ago to Daytona Beach for the week. Is you're sitting on a beach all day. It's great, but it's not fulfilling whatsoever. It's not like you accomplished anything or feel good about yourself that you made the world a better place. It's just kind of
Exactly.
daily.
And it's also too, I think, like, based on the person too, because like with my family, like, no offense to them, but they work like just traditional jobs. Some like it more than other, etc. Relatively seem to like it okay, but it's like that's the vacation is almost like their escape. And I almost feel like the opposite. Like every day, I mean, I work from home, so I can literally take a break, a vacation whenever I want, you know. And just like this doesn't feel like work. And like working on creating something, it doesn't feel like work. So basically, my life is set up to be basically the vacation, doing what I want, you know. Yeah, sure, there's things I don't want to do what I want, so to speak, but most of it is, yeah, 80 to 90% is doing what I want, like documenting, building things, chatting with people like yourself. Yeah, just taking breaks whenever I want, like I call them mini vacations. I mean, I do, yeah, take breaks often. Then at each night, I'll say it's party time, you know. And after each working day, you know, then I'll just totally relax and rejuvenate and just go on a venture or do whatever, you know. So there's nothing really to escape versus that, you know, traditional like 9 to 5 where like you are looking forward to the, you know, week off or a few days off, like, you know, as much as you can.
I think I know the difference too. Is you're highly engaged in pursuing a goal, right?
Yes, so true.
You're hyper focused on that and hypersensitive to it, and it is weird. And how about you? But I kind of envy some of these people that most people working a traditional job, they don't have those intense goals and they're not working towards something. So they show up, they do it their ask of their job, and that's it. They just kind of check out, and day after day, it just grinds on you. It just
Mm-hmm.
wears on you, and you're just looking forward to a break and a week off because all you got to look forward to is another 6 months of some crap you probably don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it is really different when you're chasing a goal and chasing building a business. It's just a night and day different mindset. It couldn't be
It
more night
is.
and day different, you know.
It is. You're so much more engaged. Yeah,
You
like
don't feel like it's
responsibility,
work. Yeah.
creativity.
Oh my God. Yeah. The responsibility level, just the level you have to perform at to do what you're doing is just so much higher than what's expected at 9 out of 10 jobs. I mean, it's just a fact. It's just a fact, you know. If your
Mm-hmm.
video doesn't work, Mike, you don't eat. It's just that simple.
Yeah, exactly. And then once you make the video, get the leads, then like you're the salesperson and then the fulfillment and then still managing the whole team. So when you're first starting off, you're like everything. So of course it's like super engaging in that way too, you know?
I imagine just like, and that'll all play out in the next 6 months, right? For sure. You
Mm-hmm.
already have some experience at it, but it'll all play out the next 6 months. You'll get better at it
Mm-hmm.
versus the family member that's going to go back and do the exact same job they were doing 6 months ago for the next 6 months. Looking forward to a couple days off at Christmas and Thanksgiving. It's
Mm-hmm.
just repeating where you're getting a lot of personal growth out of this for sure.
Yep. So yeah, like you mentioned, like some like feel guilty. Like I don't necessarily feel guilty taking off time anymore because I know it's like a requirement, the rejuvenation part. But then yeah, I think a part of me too will always like want to be working on something. As I mentioned earlier, like Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, he says like I just like to build things. You know, he just would probably be building it like if he's getting paid or not. And so that's kind of like how I feel too with some of these things. Like I'd probably be doing them. Like, you know, I mean, we don't get paid for this call in any way, and may make sales, and we may never make a dime from it, you know, but we're still doing it. We've been doing it for 4 years, you know. Yes, there's like indirect
Yeah.
still, you know.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I also think there's this thing you think of it doesn't matter whatever level of success, but the higher up you get, you think of like a Oprah Winfrey, and to get to that level, you have to be the kind of person that just doesn't stop. You love what you're doing. It's hard for you to slow down, and kind of water seeks its own level.
True. You have to sacrifice a lot. Yeah, for sure. whether you want to or not. And yeah, it takes way more energy and time and focus than like you ever think possible, you know?
Yeah, and then you just get used to it, and it's hard to not do that because you just develop the habit so much.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And then once, yeah, you make it, so to speak, or yeah, have more structure and, you know, security, then yeah, like you said, now you have to, all those wiring in your brain of, you know, focusing so hard. Now you have to learn to like take off a little bit, you know, and
Yeah,
then, you know, find the balance or whatever.
hard too is to find a balance, right? Yeah, that's definitely that. One thing I did this year with goal setting, we'll kind of end it on this, is most years I would just set a goal. I want to make 10,000 a month. I want to make 15,000, and
Right.
it just literally arbitrary goals, and then I'd really beat myself up if I didn't hit them, and there was no rhyme or reason to them whatsoever. So this year I sat down with my wife and I said, what do we want to like be doing have this year? What are the things? And I wrote out a list. Probably had, I don't know, 15 or 20 things on it. Everything from how much I want to weigh to how much
Nice.
sleep I want to get to refinishing, remodeling the house, just tons of stuff. And what's interesting is in the past I'd write those down and then I'd like look at it the following year. I'd literally go all year and not even look at these friggin' goals.
Mm-hmm.
No wonder I didn't hit any. I don't look at them all year. So this year I forced myself every month to look at these goals. And it's shocking to me. We are hitting some of them, but the amount of crap that just pops up that's not even on your list. It's just life, things you end up doing that weren't planned. It's just, man,
Yep.
But the surprising thing is PC Tattletale it's somewhat on track for what we planned. But when we actually look at the goals we did, it's all actually working out pretty darn good. So yeah, writing your goals down, it definitely helps. And then I like tracking the other stuff that happened that just wasn't planned. And that list is a lot longer of the stuff that you're trying to hit. It's just weird how that stuff works.
Yeah.
So for that year mark, I think things are going pretty good.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to goals. Yeah. It's an interesting topic. Yeah, the whole like just topic of goals. Like when I first started out online business, like my goal was like $1 million a year, in like 30 days or just something so like outrageous, which just isn't reality. Or, I mean, for sure, there's always that, supposedly story, though I've never like talked to anyone that did that. Everyone that I've really has like making a lot have always been, it's like, took me years of trying, 20 different business ideas before one worked,
Totally.
So,
yeah.
That's the message I would get out. Like, yeah, it takes a lot longer than you think. It takes a lot more work. There is some sacrifice, but if you can align it with something that you actually enjoy to do, that makes it easier. But then of course you have to do things you don't like in 5 minutes or 15 minutes, actually, I had to do a sales call. I'm not necessarily like sales, but it's busy right now and, got to make the money, so I'll do it. And then I try to enjoy it as much as possible, but you can have the whole debate whether you like to do the sales call or not, but either way, got to do it. So, but also back to goals. Yeah. I write mine down and then I think of mine daily, but I don't look at them. It's just like ingrained in my head, I guess, cause yeah, I feel like if you do have to look at them, then they aren't like that powerful. Like definitely I want like a certain amount of money, like posture, health, and then focusing on the activities, each day, like what's it's going to be like, okay, finish my ad, my upsells, redo my website, reach out to 5 people, like really focus on the actions with health, am I eating healthy, vegetables, fruit? So every day I literally, when I wake up, I do think of my goals and then like what I need to do. And then just try to make my life like every single day, just doing those exact habits, like drinking enough water, like everything that. So this one guy has a book. I don't know. It's like Craig Ballantyne. He has a book called like the Perfect Day Formula. I haven't read it, but like I just like it like the perfect day instead of trying to like do these certain things to like get this day to like live that day almost every day. I think you do a lot of that too.
I became a huge fan of the 5-minute journal, and it has a morning part and an evening part. I never fucking do the evening part, but I do the morning part every day. And it's the same idea of just framing how you want your day to be, So
Mhm.
when I frame today, you know, one of the things literally is to have a call with you. Then the other
Yep.
part of my day is to go out and enjoy my goddamn swimming pool because I got the week off and make time to enjoy it. And next
Yep.
week, I'm back at work. It's cool. You'll have plenty of
Yep.
time to work, you know. But now
Yep.
it's literally a goal of mine is to make time out and enjoy it. So I find that super freaking helpful. In fact, if I didn't wake up and plan out my day, I'd feel kind of lost. I feel like I wouldn't have purpose. I just feel like something's not right. That's a huge habit to get into. You guys can look at other YouTube videos, and most successful people do plan out their day before they start it. Even if it's a Saturday and the plan is to just have fun. That can be.
Yeah. And like you mentioned, keep it simple, like 3 things, you know, like do this, and do this, you know. And if
Yep.
it's like a big project, I just put like make major progress on, you know, like for example, like the book funnel, and then like a sales call at 1 p.m., a call, you know, with Bryan at, you know, 12.
Yep.
Like, so, and then within that, like major progress in that project, like what's the next thing? Like for me, it's like the upsells, like finish and then like script. So even if it's a big project, you still want to like narrow in on what's that next thing, you know. And then of course, once you're in that project, you know, you can obviously exceed that goal, that target. And another book that I really like is called, I don't know, it's not The Power of Now, but The Habit of Now. And a really good thing he said there is too, is like focusing on starting and not on finishing is a good one I really use, because yeah, sometimes when you're planning out, you're really focused on like, okay, what's the next priority? I got to do this and then this. Oh, that seems overwhelming. Oh, is it this path or this path? Which is all good, but definitely then you want to like, all right, just start writing the upsell. Just contact that guy.
And like I've heard that one so many times. If you just start and even trick yourself, oh, I'm only going to do it for 2 minutes, you'll actually fall into it and spend 2 hours at it. And just
even before these calls, like, I mean, even like minutes before, or I mean, like at least, you know, maybe even an hour before, my brain at least at some point says like, okay, what are we going to talk about today?
Yeah.
Starts to like percolate. And then right before it, like we even talk about like just a few minutes before the call, before we hit live, we're like, what are we going to talk about? And we're still like, I'm not sure. And then somehow, you know, 50 minutes can go by, you know, and you hopefully shared a lot of great content, at least, you know.
I think so. Yeah. Some weeks with this are easier than others, but I think the fact is we're both heavily engaged in chasing goals and out doing this stuff. So we always have stuff to talk about. We'll always have stuff, guys. Don't worry. There'll always be something.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, there is always something. Yep. Constant, never end improvement, you know.
But for me, yeah, I'm going to enjoy the sunshine on my business and my life right now, and just chilling and enjoy it for what it is for a moment, because I know this shit can hit the fan at any friggin' second. Any second, man, stuff can go south. You got to be ready for that. So
nice. So yeah, lesson is do what you need to do in your situation. After this, then I'm prepped for the sales call. I'll do a sales call, and then I'll work on writing my upsells, and then I have a few other client things. So yeah, it just depends where you're at, what day, and where you're at, kind of seasons of life, what you need to do, either investing fully,
right,
or
two totally different ends of it right now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to get both perspectives, because, you know, and like maybe a year ago when I was making more money, or first started making more money too, I took like more time off and like bought things. But now I'm like all work, and like if anything's not a necessity, I won't buy it. Everything's going all the money into the business, you know.
Like how funny would it be if next year your the YouTube stuff's just kind of autopilot, you're pulled back on Easy Street, my shit totally falls apart.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm struggling, but oh my god, yeah, tough stuff.
Yeah. The world is a dynamic place. In our minds, and I still think like this, always want something to be set and good forever. I want to do one workout and say I have muscle and strength forever. I want to put up this one thing, it's going to blast it forever. And it is kind of like that, but also not, because yeah, everything's going to either, you know, the old saying is either growing or dying, you know.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the internet changes so fast. It changes so fast. It's amazing. Things can stay relevant as long as they do.
Yeah, still rejuvenating, but also thinking like proactively, thinking like that. It's not like scarcity or fear. It's like, it's just reality. I mean, most likely Facebook, Google, I mean, maybe they'll be around, or maybe they won't, and maybe they'll be around, but they'll be way different. Most likely, obviously, they're going to be way different, because Google changes things all the time.
Yeah, I think they're not.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, most things based on history.
In the next 5 to 10 years, there's going to make a centralized version of Facebook. The it can't be shut down, can't be policed, and everyone will flock to it. Just my prediction. We'll see.
Yeah, it's definitely going to change. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, man. You get on your sales call. I'm gonna go read.
Thanks. All right. Enjoy. Fully rejuvenate.
Yep.
I like it. Take care. Chat with you later, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bryan.